Hey, my name's Ed, welcome to my channel. I make, modify and mend things, and in this video I'm going to be making a shower in my 43-foot narrowboat, Joshua. So this is the old shower tray and this is the new one, and as you can see they're a bit different. The old one is really deep and it's also raised up on battens to allow enough space underneath for the drain. So with the new one, I am going to need to raise it off the floor a little bit, although I don't want to raise it up too much because every centimetre I lose on the floor, you lose on the head height as well. And my head already touches the roof of the boat when my hair's long, so I don't have much headroom at all. The old tray is actually slightly smaller than the new one. Luckily, the new one fits perfectly on the test fit, which is complete fluke and I didn't measure it at all. I am going to have to build a framework similar to this old one underneath on the new one. However, it needs to be slightly different because the old one is made from fiberglass and it's really thick, and actually that can support your weight, whereas the new one is made from PVC plastic and it's actually really thin. You can probably see how bendy and flexible that is. And if I build a framework similar to the one under the old one, then the middle is just going to bend and possibly break when all your body weight goes on it. So I've made this framework to go underneath the new shower tray and act as a support and as a way to lift it up a little bit to get the drain to fit. The idea is that this sits on the subfloor on the boat, and then the shower tray sits on top of that, and because it's a piece of ply it will spread the weight evenly, and that is a really solid base then. These cutouts in the corner are for the recesses on the tray where the drain goes. There's two of these unfortunately, and even though this one is going to be unused, I have to have the cutout for it because otherwise it sits proud. So the next thing is to drill a hole in the tray, which is really scary. No going back now. So now I've got the hole drilled, the little drain drops in there, and on the back side I have this washer, the actual drain itself, and there's a little screw which goes through the centre hole on the little drain trim thing, and that goes from the inside. Oh, I just scratched it. Great. And then that fixes on this side and clamps it all together. What I am going to do, I'm going to fit this with some sealant. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to dry assemble all this, take it to the boat, test fit it, and then when I know it's all fitting nicely, then I'll use the sealant. So now I've got that drain fitted, I'm going to just quickly see how it's looking when it's on its plinth. So that goes sort of like that. So you can see that's got enough clearance for the hose to go on it, just about. It has a Jubilee clip to do the hose up. It's just a normal, I think it's 19mm internal diameter hose that goes on here, that goes to the bilge at the back where there's a pump. So that's got clearance, but not too much, not an excessive amount. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Sikaflex this to the tray, or the tray to this, I should say. And then this won't be fixed down, but it will be joined to the tray, and then the tray will be fixed down to some probably 18mm thick material around the sides to support the sides here. So I think the next thing to do is take this to the boat, put it in, measure how big these bits are going to be. Actually, I can do that here. That's stupid. But I also need to measure how much room I have between these bits and the ceiling, so that I know how big to make the internal walls of the shower room. Time for a test fit. So I've got my shower room empty. I did have the shower connected so that the ends of these pipes were kind of blocked up so that I didn't have leaks when I was testing the system, but I've taken that off because it was really unwieldy, and I'm going to get a new shower anyway. So this is my base, and it's going to go roughly here. There's a bit of rock, but I mean, once there's weight on that, it'll be okay. So the idea is there's a cutout in the floor here for the pipes to come through. This isn't going to go all the way to the back, but the pipes are going to clear it because of this sneaky cutout anyway, which I completely planned, by the way. So that's the base, and that's roughly where it's going to go. And then let's get the tray in. So the shower tray then goes on top like this, and you'll see that I measured this and calculated really precisely, and it all fits so nice. I didn't, by the way. This was just total fluke. That a 760mm shower tray existed. I just made this room to the same dimensions as the old one. But anyway, yeah, so that goes there, and then you have a nice sturdy base. And if I stand up here, then yeah, that feels really sturdy. So that feels good. Apart from, obviously, you don't want to stand in the corner, but I am going to have probably 18mm ply, the structural ply that I used to make this from, in the sides just to support these little bits. And then I can screw through here, I think, to fix this down. That's sort of my rough plan anyway. I'm kind of just making this up as I go along. And then at the back here, the pipes are going to come through here, and then they will be hidden by a piece of 18mm ply, which will cover this wall and come down to here. I might run this a bit further back. It might end up going all the way to there, and then the 18mm ply will come over, but obviously I can have a bit of a gap here because the ply will cover that, and then I'll need to make some kind of waterproof join between the bottom of the ply and the shower tray, but that'll probably be with some lino, and then I'll use some silicone, but that comes much later. And then yeah, these will just be hidden by the cavity, so these can just run up here. I'll probably need to make longer ones and then come through here where the taps will be. And then obviously I've got the waste here, which, let's just make that a bit brighter. So the waste pipe, which is actually this, will then just run to here. It's a bit long at the moment, but obviously it's better too long than too short. So I'll cut that down when the time comes, and that will be my waste. And that goes to the back. It runs all the way along to the bilge where there is a pump to pump the shower out. So that's the plan. However, I have this hardwood floor, which wasn't here originally. So I have something like 18mm thickness that wasn't here originally. So this thickness is additional to the subfloor. So what I'm going to do is remove a load of this so that the base can sit that much lower down. It's not lots, but it will make a difference, so I'm going to do it. So I'm going to mark where this base comes to, and I chose the rough end for the front. I could always spin it round. And then I'm going to remove this flooring. I'll probably just remove it all the way up to here, to be honest. Is that going to cause a problem? I don't think so with the drain. I'll probably just remove it straight across here. It's going to be a bit of a pain to do, but I want to gain as much ceiling height as I can. Got the coffee on the go, and now it's time to cut through my beautiful oak engineered flooring. I've done a test cut at the workshop. I had a scrap of it, so I've set the saw depth to the right depth, so it shouldn't touch the subfloor. And then I'm going to cut through the rest of it with a multi-tool, where, because obviously this isn't going to go right to the corner. So I'll cut most of it with this, and then I'll go to the corners with the multi-tool. I just really hope this works as well as the test did in the workshop. And I also hope the camera doesn't cut out, because running the saw and the camera might be a bit much to ask from my crappy inverter, but we'll see. Oh, that made more smoke than I wanted it to. Bloody hell. I suppose I won't tell if it's touched the subfloor until I get it out. So let's do the rest of it. Let's get some windows open. Well, I've never used one of these before. What's the worst that could happen? Quite good, I quite like that. It's made a very neat cut. I don't know how far to go. I might put a bit of tape on the blade. Do you call that a blade? Thing. How deep has that gone? To there. I might put a bit of tape on there for reference. Okay, that's the depth I'm working to. So when that gets to the floor, let me know and I'll stop. Right, now I need to go all the way along here. I might save that till last, because that's going to be a mission. Even though I've cut through this, it's still secret nailed down. So I think even though this section is now free, it's still going to be a bit of a pain to get out. But we'll give it a go. I've not tried yet. And I worked this way when I put it in. So if I take this piece out first, I should be able to get to the others easier. But let's see. What I might do, actually, it doesn't matter if I break this. I knew that would be the first piece to come out. Oh, this feels horrible, having put it down so carefully. Oh, that's a shame. I was going to try and get it out without breaking any of it, but maybe I have to break the first piece. There we go. It's still being held up on that nail. There we go. All right, hopefully the rest will be a bit easier. So I've cleared all the area. I really like that multi-tool. It's done such a good job. I didn't damage any of the subfloor, which I'm really happy about. There's a few raggedy ends on, but that's from where the circular saw went. So I'd set my blade depth almost perfectly. And then yeah, it's much neater where I've used the multi-tool. So I'm really happy about that. So I'm back to the subfloor. So now I can start building up. So the first thing to go in is my false floor. And I'm just going to mock this all together before I fix anything down. And then I've got my two sides. Oh, I've cut that a bit short. I could notch that, I suppose. Unless that's the long one. Ah, that's the long one. That's the front piece. Yeah, I still need to cut that down a bit. That one fits just about. yeah, I need to do some trimming. And then the idea is that goes across the front, but that's a bit too wide. That needs to be a bit long, a bit shorter. Oh no, we're good. And then my shower tray, finally. Goes in here. And if I've done my calculations correctly, when that lip touches here, that should be touching the sub base, and it doesn't. I need to rip a little bit off these, I think. Oh wait, no, that's because that's sitting high. So what I could do is rip 15mm off here. That would also work. But that's looking good. I've got this cut, I'm gonna go and get that, and then we'll try and fit that. This is going better than expected. I've got it all mocked up, and I think I've spent the best part of 2 hours mocking this together, but I think the fact that it doesn't have to be really nice, because all of this is going to be covered, is helping the speed quite a lot. So normally a gap like that, I wouldn't like that. And the same with like the gap down the side and this kind of stuff. I would spend a lot more time trying to get that perfect fit. Whereas this is all going to be covered with lino anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So now it's fitting well, and now I can show you a little bit more. So now I can show you a little bit more of what I mean by the support. So the main bottom of the shower tray is supported by this, and then the flanges at the edge are then supported by this 18mm ply either side. And there's also going to be a piece running along the front here under this front lip too. I need to cut that to height because I cut all these battens to the same height, and this one needs to be 15mm shorter because it's actually going to sit on here, which means it will look like this floor runs right underneath anyway. So I'm really happy with how that's going to look. Then my drain just comes out here, so I'll need to do something to get the pipe around here. I probably need to smooth that out a little bit, put a bit of a rebate so it's no sharp edge and it doesn't cut through the pipe eventually. And also I think I need to bring this whole lot forwards because, as you can see, along this there's a nice lip here, and I can do something. The lino can come down and meet here, and then I can put a bead of silicone along it to seal it or something. Whereas along this back wall there's no lip, so the tray needs to come forwards, which isn't a problem. There's plenty of space for that to happen. I've got loads of room here, so I'm going to pull this forward by probably 18mm or whatever that dimension is. And then all I need to do now really is measure up this space here, because I want to have a smooth transition from this wall under the where the gunnel is down to the thing, so the water runs down into the tray. So I just need to, basically I'm just going to put another sheet here and box in that cove there under the gunnel, just so it's like a smooth wall so that the water can run down into the tray. So I need to measure up for that and cut that and work out how I'm going to fix it on. But yeah, this is coming together really nice. I'm really happy with it. All right, so after half a day of messing around and trimming, I've got the shower tray fitting nicely. I've got one more adjustment to make. I need to take 6mm off this end. But other than that, it's all in. And I've also fitted the back wall, which is where the taps are going to go, and this side wall here. And you might notice that there is a white pipe sticking out here. Now this isn't something that I've actually planned, but I panicked last minute, and I'm running this. It's a tee off of the cold feed to the shower, and it goes to the back, and it's going to go into the engine compartment, and that is for a washing machine. I hadn't really planned to have a washing machine, but I think it would be really handy to have the option. So I'm just going to run this and then blank it off. And then in the future, if I feel like I want a washing machine, which would be useful, then at least I've got the pipe already run. It was easy to do it now. It would be much harder to do it in the future. So I've just put that in just in case. I've bought a shower. So the next thing is to drill holes through this wall for the pipe work. So let's do that. Right, so I've drilled the holes, and now I need to put the mounts for the shower on here. And this shower mounts on two bosses. So there's a compression fitting. This is actually a compression fitting, which is really nice because that screws onto this backboard like that. And then there is a sort of a boss, which is a compression fitting with an olive in it, which goes on, screws on there. So I can screw that brass piece onto my backboard, and then this screws on, and the pipe work goes through this assembly. If I can do it. I'm actually going to use plastic, not copper, but I'm going to use this piece of copper to align it all when I put these brass brackets on. So they go through like that, and then you would tighten this silver collar, which does up the compression fitting and compresses the olive against the brass. So that all goes on there, and then I'm going to use this piece of copper to align them. So I'm just going to put that through, and I've drilled these holes 150 millimeters apart, which is how far the inlets are on my shower bar, the mixer bar. So yeah, I'm just going to use those to align, fix these on, and then the theory is that the bar should then screw on and be held on in place by these. So I'm going to do that now. Align this. Right, so this is the mixer bar, and I've got ones with knobs which turn versus one that goes up and down, because I had one with a lever before, and there's so little space in this enclosure that with a type with a handle, when you were like washing yourself, you would quite often knock the lever, and it would either turn the shower off or it would adjust the temperature and you'd burn yourself or get freezing cold water. It really wasn't that practical for a tight space such as this. So I've got one with knobs instead, so you won't accidentally adjust these while you're actually showering. So yeah, that's the reason I've gone with a type like this. But yeah, now these are on, it's the moment of truth, and I can see if it lines up properly. So let's I'm not going to do these up very tight at all. I'm just going to do them up, sort of just make sure they thread on basically, and yeah, they do. Cool. I was a little bit worried I wouldn't get the alignment right. Oh lovely, yeah, cool, brilliant. So yeah, fits on quite nicely. There's quite a lot of space here, but there's some trim rings that go over these brass bits, so there's enough space for those to go on. And yeah, it's about the right height. I mean, I measured this beforehand. I offered it up to make sure that it was at a height that I wanted it. And then I'll put the rest of the shower in, like the actual head, when the room's lined. I'm going to line it with Lino. Might not be to some people's taste, but it's easy. I think it might be tricky to actually do it, to put it in, but I think it'll be really good once it's done. That's how this shower room was before, and it seemed to be a really good way of doing it to kind of waterproof it. So yeah, there'll be Lino going from the bottom all the way up, and I'll try and do it in one piece and wrap it around the room, starting at this wall, and then go to that corner, around the corner to this corner, and then it probably yeah, around the window. Probably have it coming probably about to here, and then yeah, where the shower tray ends, I have it coming up the wall. But I still have a piece of trim to put in here, so this cavity isn't actually going to be here. It will just be a smooth transition straight from the gunnel down to the edge of the shower tray. So yeah, so now that's done, I can do the pipe work behind here, which is just a matter of a couple of pipes really. And then I need to work out how I'm going to get them bending 90 degrees through the wall. I'll probably end up with those brass push fit fittings that I put on the water heater. Okay, so it doesn't look like I've done much, but I have done loads today. So as you can see, I've now got the boxed in section is done. The shower tray it's not actually fixed down yet, but it's all fitting really nicely. I've trimmed the ply, so the edge is really nice now. I might replace this bit because you can see the hole's a bit big. I don't need it to be that big, so I might cut another piece to go in here before I fix it all in permanently. The edges are all uniform. I've got the same amount of edge all the way around, so there's plenty to seal against, which is nice. The back wall is now fixed in. I've screwed it in. Same with this side wall, that's now screwed in too. So it's all fixed how it will be. I need to take this all out so I can paint it and make it waterproof. It doesn't need to be nice looking paint, but it just needs to be waterproof. There is going to be lino stuck to here, but it's going to be getting damp and hot and steamy, so it needs to be have some kind of protection. I was going to use PVA glue, but I did some research and apparently it's not the best thing, so I'm going to actually paint it so it's sealed with paint. So yeah, that's the next stage really, is take this all out again, paint it. I've actually done the pipe work behind here. The pipes run up to here and they're the right length. All I need to do is, once this is all painted and sealed and put back in, I just need to run the pipes through and then actually fix the taps onto the wall. So that's the next stage really. I've painted and finished all the stuff that goes in the shower room. So now it's time to put it all together and fix it in permanently and seal it. So the first thing to do is to fit this drain and seal this in. So this has a rubber washer, but it was fitted with a smear of silicone around the washer on both sides. So I'm going to do the same because I won't really be able to tell. Well, I can. This is the only bit I'll be able to physically see to see if it's leaking, but I don't want it to. So because I can get to the cover, which is on the oh my gosh, I've just spilt silicone all over the floor. That'll teach me for talking at the same time. So it's just taken me ages to actually unblock this tube of silicone because obviously the nozzle was full of dried silicone. I've just got it on my wooden floor. No. So that went that way. I also don't want to put so much on here that it blocks up the drain with silicone, because obviously that would be really bad. I'm going to try and use this silicone that's dropped on the floor. Am I the only person that actually likes the smell of silicone? It smells to me like salt and vinegar crisps, which I really like. Although it's very overwhelmingly powerful salt and vinegar crisps. Oh, I'm going to have to disturb it now, because that did not go on in the place I wanted it to. So once this is set, I don't want to have to move it, because obviously I'll break the seal. Kind of scary that this is one of the last times I'm going to put this in. Right, so I'm actually going to attach the hose and do it up as well. I'm glad I remembered that. Before this silicone goes off, I'm going to put a bead of sealant around here to hold the tray down. So I'm going to put a bead of this
this is Sikaflex along here, just to hold those flanges down. I'm not going to put loads of this on just in case I ever need to take it out. And I mean, these wooden supports aren't actually fixed to the boat, so if I need to, I can lift out the tray with these attached, but it'll be a little bit tricky, I imagine. Well, hopefully this goes down in the right place then. Right. Now the tray's fixed in, it's time to fix in these walls, and obviously I've already fixed these in. I've already drilled the holes for the screws and put the screws in and everything. But when I put them in now, I need to put the tops on the pipes, which are a little elbow, 90-degree elbow, with the little stumps of pipes sticking through, ready to attach the taps. And that's something which is going to be really hard to take out again once the olives are compressed, because they'll be then trapped onto the piece of wood, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So these fittings are going to go on the tops of these, but these are demountable. You can take them off, but they're really hard to demount. So once they're on, you don't really want to have to take them off, especially in a confined area. And this bit goes through the wall, which is fixed here, and then there's an olive which gets compressed on. So, and you can't take that olive off without destroying it. So it's essentially, it's trapping the piece of plywood hit on this piece. So, and then this is obviously attached to here. So the piece of plywood is then attached to the pipework, which you can pull out and it will come out to here, but it's still going to be very difficult to remove if I ever need to. Possible, not impossible, but very difficult. So I only want to have to do this once. So these, for now, I can actually put these on top. So they go on there. Like that. And then the ply goes here. So I painted all of this. You're not going to be able to see this when the bathroom's finished. God, that makes it lighter. But if this ever gets damp, I want it to be kind of vaguely waterproof, or at least water resistant. So I painted this just to kind of make it waterproof. I spent ages refining this, making sure it fits. So obviously now I've painted it and it's the final assembly. It doesn't fit. There we go. Right. Let's see. What's going to be the easiest way to do this? Because of the battens on the wall, I have to go in this way, which I'd forgotten about because they're a new addition. But that makes putting the pipes through the wall a bit harder. If this wasn't fiddly enough already. Now that goes like that. Now I need to make sure those pipes go through those slots, and I don't know how to ensure that that's happened. I don't want to trap them. How do I do that? So my solution is I've put these two pipe clips on, and they'll hold the pipes against this, and if they're through here and clipped into here, they shouldn't be able to move when I put this back. So let's give that a go. Oh, I can't get my head in. That goes there. That goes through there, and then that clips. I think I'm going to have to do this by feel. Right, so those pipes are now held. And I have no way of telling if they're trapped or not. But I measured where those channels are, so that should be fine. All right, let's get the screws in and get that fixed in. My impact driver bit just exploded and it dug into the wall. That's annoying. First things first, this one goes in. I have to remove this to get this out, so. Good. Good. So the time has come, finally, to put the lino in. I've bought some lino. I'm not in love with it, but it's the best of a bad bunch. I forgot how expensive lino is. I thought lino was supposed to be cheap, but even this one, which is the plain, I didn't want plain white, I thought it'd be too boring. But I didn't want something with a mad texture or design on it. Lots of them are really horrible and have horrific patterns. This was kind of like a happy medium. Like I said, I'm not in love with it, but I'm sure I'll learn to live with it. It's literally, I'm going to be in here to shower. I'm not in here to look at the walls. So I think it's going to be fine. I'm a bit nervous to cut into this, so I'm going to make a template. I've found this lining paper, which wasn't the cheapest. I was thinking about using like a roll of paper, and then I thought a roll of paper is probably quite expensive. So I thought a roll of wrapping paper is probably the cheapest, but then that's really thin. But I found this, which is lining paper, which was about £8, I think. So it's not that cheap, but it's cheaper than like a big roll of paper. And it's obviously slightly more expensive than wrapping paper. But I'm going to use this. It's a bit stiffer as well, so I'm hoping that will be a bit more durable for making a template, because I think I'm going to be taking this template in and out quite a lot. So I'm going to make a template from this. Then once I've got this shape refined and good, I'll put it over the lino and cut the lino. So let's get cracking. So my thinking is I'm going to start at this side and I'm just going to run a strip down the wall and make it flush to this edge here, and then just go round the room a strip at a time and not actually join them together until the end. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll start with a strip here, make it parallel to this edge. I think I might have to tape this on, and then do the same here up to this corner, and then same again up to that corner. This is obviously the easiest side because it's basically a rectangle, and the back wall is a bit more complex, and then the wall behind me is probably the hardest. It's got some compound angles, but if I start here I should be better by the time I get around that side. And because it's paper and I've got loads of it, if I do make a mistake I can just use another strip. You can't do that with the lino, so might be a bit of a time lapse here. Right, so that's done. That probably looked really awkward because, well, it was. And what became immediately apparent is how horrible putting the actual lino in is going to be. That was so awkward. Although I suppose with the lino at least there's going to be an adhesive backing. There's going to be some kind of adhesive on it, so it will hold it up. You probably saw that it just kept falling down on me, and that made it really awkward because you put it where you wanted it and then it would just fall off again. I guess when the lino is going in, it's not going to be like that because it's going to have adhesive on it. But it also means I only get one chance at putting it in. The other thing that became obvious is this is just going to get me in a very rough ballpark for the shape. I've tried to do it as accurately as I can. And when I cut the lino, I'm going to cut the lino oversize by quite a bit, just to give me some wiggle room. So yeah, this is going to get me in the ballpark. It's going to help. It's going to be better than just putting the lino in and trying to trim it. What I'm going to do is reinforce this template before I take it out, so that it doesn't completely fall to pieces and I don't lose the shape. So I'm going to do that and then pull it out and then flatten it and see what it looks like. Right, this is the moment I've been dreading. Actually no, this isn't the moment I've been dreading. The moment I'm dreading is putting the adhesive on this and then sticking it up. I can still go back at this stage, or I can put my tools down and leave it. But once the adhesive's out and it's on, you've got to keep going until it's done. So I wasn't going to lay my template over this straight away. I was just going to lay the template out flat. But it occurred to me that I don't want to move the template more than necessary, because although the paper I bought is kind of thick, it's halfway between cardboard and paper, I don't want to have to move it more than absolutely necessary. So I'm actually going to lay this out this way, because my template is that way. And obviously it's been raining a lot over the last week or so, a couple of weeks, so the ground is soaked. But there's no way this will lay out in the boat, so here it is. I'm lucky I'm at a point in the canal which is this wide. Okay, I have to decipher this. Which way around am I? There we go. Right, so my reinforced template looks a bit weird. It'll become obvious, I promise. So actually I haven't taped up that bit, because this is I wanted to do this with as few joins as possible, because obviously every time you have a join, it's an opportunity for a leak. But I can't get away with it in this corner because of the angle. So I'm gonna have to cut a slit there. But I can do the rest of it in one piece, as you can see, which is quite nice actually, although it's going to be wider than that. I actually got to admit I wasn't expecting the template to be this big. Once it was unfolded, it's massive. Might have to spin the whole lot around. That'll be more sensible, I think. That's better. So you can see that, well, my room is not straight, but also this is because of the compound angle on the slope under the gunnel. That's the reason that kicks out like that. So now I need to draw around this and cut it out. I don't want acres of slack, because that's just going to be such a pain to put up. If I've got way too much spare, it's just going to be flapping around and getting in the way. But if I obviously cut it too close, then it's going to be short and the whole lot's ruined. So I think along the bottom I don't need much, because the bottom line was pretty good. I might put about 10mm extra along the bottom, and along this side I'm going to have a good amount, because I want to wrap it around the corner on that slope. So I need to measure how much that is and then add a little bit and add it to there. This, I think I'm just going to put a cut straight up the middle of that valley, and then I can trim it once it's fitted and it's in. Same along the top. I think I'm just going to put 10mm along the top. Oh, now I've got to cut it, I suppose. I better do it soon, because I think it's going to rain. I've drawn it massively oversized. Should be fine. go. I've decided I'm just going to get on with this. Once it's done, it's over, and we can all move on. I've cut it oversized deliberately, so I've got some room for error. So as long as I get it stuck on in a way where I've got overhang on every corner, I can trim it up after it's stuck in. I think I'm worried about getting it perfect when I stick it in, but the reason I've cut it bigger than it needs to be is so it doesn't have to be perfectly stuck in. I mean, it has to be flat on each wall, but the overhang is there so I can trim it up after the fact. So I think I've decided what I'm going to do. I'm also conscious of how easy this stuff is to tear. When I took the old stuff out, it tore really easily. So I know kind of that I need to be careful, especially I haven't cut the slit yet because that will tear really easily. And what I think I'm going to do is line up this edge here and clamp it on, because I've got two clamps. If I can reach them. So they've got overhang there. I'm going to clamp that. There's plenty of overhang there. And then clamp down here. There's plenty of overhang there. And then just make sure that all the way around I've got enough. I could do with going up a little bit if anything. Yeah, I'm just worried about tearing it, to be honest. And then I think what I'm going to do is glue each panel at a time so I can work any wrinkles out as I go. I can tell this is going to be really horrible. The time has come. I'm so nervous, it's ridiculous. If I stick this first bit on wrong and the alignment's wrong at this side, I'll basically just chuck 70 quid down the toilet. I think that's why I'm nervous about this, because I don't think I'll be able to pull it off to reuse it if I stick it on in the wrong place. And I can't hold it up on this side to kind of dry fit it. I've been trying to dry fit it, but I can't, because it needs to be held up for me to be able to dry fit it. And gluing it in before I've dry fitted it makes me so nervous, because I don't know if it's right around this side yet. Hopefully this stuff won't go off super quick. Fast grab. Hopefully I can. Here goes. Right. Here goes nothing. I can already tell I put too much sealant on there. You can see it. I need to roll it with something. But it's way easier when it's got something to stick to. So I've used way too much adhesive, which means you can actually see the blobs of it underneath the lino, which looks really rubbish. I'm fairly sure that's never going to go away now, but it's too late. to do anything about it. I don't have a roller. I need a rubber roller really to kind of roll it and spread it around. But for the next section, I know to put less on. To be honest, if it's in and it fits, I'm sort of over the fact it looks a bit shit on this wall. This is the worst job I've done on this boat, by far. This is definitely the worst. This is horrible. And it looks rubbish. This is literally horrific. I hate this. I'm not going to put as much sealant on this one. And I've got the holes to cut for the pipes on this bit. I've just cut one, but it rips so easily. As soon as you put a slit in this stuff, it rips. Oh, right, that was easier than the first one. I think what I'm going to do now is stick the lower piece on here, then it will be held and I can cut the slit. Tell you what, if this ever has to come off, oh my gosh. This is probably really rubbish to watch. Sorry. Right, I think I'm going to have to put the cut in it. There's no delaying it anymore. Now I've got to be really careful it doesn't rip. This has not been fun, I've got to say. That was mega stressful. Well, it's in, but it's a bit of a mess, to be honest. So I had some adhesive, which I didn't notice on here, and it's dried. So that's kind of annoying. The corners aren't as sharp as I wanted them to be, which is really annoying. I've made a bit of a mess of this corner, but I am going to be covering this with some kind of sealant, obviously. And again, yeah, this corner isn't as sharp as I wanted it to be. The good thing is that I put it in and it's not squint, so I've got plenty of overlap all the way around, top and bottom. So I'm actually going to wait for this adhesive to dry, I think. I might do it now, I'm not sure. I could do it now, it's being held in. I can come around now and trim all these bits up and just lift the edge, put some extra adhesive under and stick it down. It is annoying, you can probably, yeah, you can see on camera the wrinkles on this side because I use too much adhesive, but you live and you learn. Bit disappointed, but I've never done this before, so. Had a bit of a break and I had dinner and now I'm trimming up and I've discovered a technique, sort of. If I push this scraper into the corner to get a sharp line, I can then use it as a guide to cut. And actually after trimming, it's not too bad. So you can see actually it's not that bad once it's trimmed up. Right, what am I going to do with that corner bit? Oh, what I don't want is water to leak under here because I can't get under here, so I won't know if it's rotting the wood or anything. So yeah, I'm going to put a bead of silicone or caulk along there to kind of seal it and cover the joints.
It's a bit chilly today, so I've lit a fire. I've got loads of fire lighting material with that template. I've boiled the kettle. It's a game changer having the gas connected. I'm making full use of the tea facilities. I've had another look at the shower in the cold light of day and it's not that bad. The lumps from where I put too much adhesive on, they're not that bad. I managed to work the worst of them out. There's a few big gaps where I cut the lino I was planning on running a bead of silicone over those bits. There's a couple of places where the gap might be too big. I don't really know what to do with those, but we'll have a look. But the first job is to fit the taps. So let's get on with that. First job is to refit the little brackets, and then I can compress up those compression joints. I'm going to put these little bits in. Really important, they keep the pipe rigid, and without them your joints could leak apparently. So these are going on for the final time. Finally, this bit. And I can do these up and compress these olives now. Technically, you shouldn't have to do these up very tight. Do it quarter of a turn. Oh, there we are. That should be all right. Now the instructions say to put a bit of silicone around these to stop the water going behind. So I'm going to do that. I'm so bad at this stuff. Out of all of the tasks I've had to do for this boat, I've hated doing the shower. I'm so bad at siliconing and anything to do with adhesive I seem to be bad at, or making things look neat. This is awful. I also don't enjoy doing it. Maybe that's why I'm bad at it. I just find it frustrating and boring and horrible. I had to stop filming because it was starting to not be enjoyable. The camera was getting in my way. Silicone wasn't going to plan. Anyway, it's done. I put the trim rings on. Now I need to fit these. These apparently fit in here. And then the tap goes on like that. Again, you probably can't see much, so I'll jump to the next stage. So that's the mixer bar fitted, and now I need to put the head in. That's going to go on this wall here, and cleverly I put a batten here to fix the bar to, and I've left this wall off sort of half deliberately, so I know whereabouts I can put the head on this side. All right, I've marked the position of where I can drill, and now I'm going to just pilot drill it. That should be. Oh, I suppose I've got no way of telling because the insulation. That'll do. Am I some kind of dick? Yes, I am. This was supposed to go on first. Oh. I've gone back a couple of steps because I realised I can't do this siliconing if I've got the shower head in here. So I'm just going to quickly do this. I'm going to put quite a big bead on here because I've got a silicone smoothing tool, and I'm going to use the 10mm one. So I'm going to put quite a lot because I've got quite a big gap to fill. I'm not very good at this, but I'm hoping the tool can clear up all of my messy work and do the bulk of the work for me. We'll find out soon enough. All right, how does this work then? 10mm, just do that. Ah, I didn't actually apply enough. I did there. Okay, that is actually going to work when I put enough on. I was just a bit scared to put too much on. But actually I wasn't putting enough on. It's better than the other way around, I suppose. Right, let's try that again. Let's add a bit more. Right, let's try this again. Whoa, yeah, that's a lot. That's better. Okay, back to the head and rail. So let's put this in. I've just got to be really careful I don't disturb this silicone bead now. That's why I was going to leave it till last, but yeah, I am aware that my head is touching the ceiling. I am wearing boots, so I'm a bit shorter without those on. The impact driver doesn't go all the way to the bottom of here, which is a bit of a pain. Last couple of bits, just got to, I don't know why that's wet. Put the hose on the taps. And then the head goes on this. This is a really cheap shower, but it will do the job. There's a button on there, what does that do? No idea. Well, that's a bit stiff. I suppose it's cheapy. Right. So the shower head is in. Obviously, it reduces the height a little bit more. And the hose does feel really cheap, and the head. The hose and the head off of the old shower from here feels actually much better quality, so I might swap it over. I'm so glad I bought that tool. It makes such a better bead than I ever could. So I've done the siliconing, and honestly, I was debating whether to buy this tool. You get a set of 3 for £12 from Screwfix. And the fact that I was considering not buying this now is laughable. To be honest, this has made the job. It's still not super neat. It's my first time doing silicone like this. But it's good enough for a first go, I think. It's definitely going to do the job. So yeah, it's literally worth its weight in gold, these little tools. So that means most of the work is done on the shower now. I just need to wait for this silicone to dry before I test it. The only place there's going to be leaks will be at the tap, I think. So I'll turn the water on when this is all dried. So yeah, the only thing left to do is I'm going to put a trim piece up here that kind of covers the gap at the end here, and again from the ceiling down to the window frame. The window frame needs to go in as well for it to be fully waterproof, because obviously there's that bare wood. And then yeah, I'm going to put another piece of trim down this joint here, which is why that's still raggedy and I haven't done anything with it. So there's a little bit of work left to do, but for now I just need to let this dry. So the silicone's dry and it's finally time to test the shower. I've got to come clean. The pipes were actually swapped around. I'd accidentally connected the hot feed to the cold side of this bar and vice versa. I did actually test it before now, and the hot water heater wasn't striking on, and I did not know why. And then I was fiddling around with it. I turned it to full cold and the heater came on. So I realised what I'd done straight away. I've already corrected it off camera, which meant I had to pull the kitchen apart, because obviously I can't go in through this side because it's all silicone now. So I had to pull my the narrow. I had to take this off and then take this wall off to get to the pipes. But actually it wasn't too traumatic. So that does put my mind at ease. If I ever have to go in here to do anything with the pipes behind this wall, I'll do it from the kitchen side, because all I'll have to do is undo that worktop, take the fridge out eventually, and take the wall off. So it wasn't too bad. However, it's now ready for testing. So here's the moment of truth. And I heard the gas heater turn on. And it's cold at the moment, but it should warm up. Yep, that's warm now. So it runs for about 20 seconds before it gets warm, which is a little bit of a shame. It will waste a little bit of water, but the pipe's quite long, so I should have expected that really. So yeah, that's really good. And that's a really nice temperature, and the button's not even clicked in. Oh, it's even getting steamy. So I can turn it that much more. Oh, you can't see anything. All right, let's turn that off. That's enough water wasted and gas used. So I've unsteamed my lens, and I've got water in the bottom of the tray now. So let's pump it out. That's my shower pump switch, and yeah, that's pumping out. Good. Really happy with that. And obviously I've still got to make the trim to cover these pipes and go up this join here, and I need to do all this. But the next job really is to make oh, that pump is making a racket. I might have to look at that. There we go. All the water's gone. Oh no, it's not. Still got a bit to go. So yeah, the next job really is to start making the window frames, because this one needs to go in before I can use the shower really. I don't want to be splashing water on this join, and so I don't want water going under this lino, so it needs sealing, and that means the window frame's got to go in. So that's the next job. So I started cutting these window frames on the router table, as you can see. However, it wasted a lot of material. All that cut out turned into sawdust. So when I do the window frames for the rest of the boat, I'm going to do them on the table saw instead. So I've finally cut the pieces so they fit. I've actually wasted a lot of this material working out how to cut these angles. It's such a head screw. I've wasted almost 2 meters of this material because I've cut it wrong. But I finally got it right and worked it out, and this is now placed in. As you can see, this piece is down here because they won't all stay in until I bond them in, which I'm not actually sure how to do. So yeah, I'm not sure whether to glue them here in situ, but then none of the corners are flush that way. If I do it on the bench and then bring it here and put it in, it might break apart if it's not exactly the right shape. So I'm not really sure what to do, but I think I'm going to leave it for now, and I'll figure out how to do that at a later time. The shower is in, the lino's in, the room is mostly done. So yeah, I'm going to call it a day for this video. So with the shower mostly done now, there's only one more thing left to do, which is the bed, before I can move back in, bar a few little silly bits and pieces. So it's getting pretty exciting. If you enjoyed watching this video, then there's loads more of my boat series up here if you haven't seen them, and there's some of my other videos up here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it, and I'll see you on the next one.